Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Sunshine Coast Regional District Round 1 budget meeting for December 2nd. It's 9:30 a.m. and would like to resume the meeting. Director Stanford will be joining us shortly, and so because she's not here now, I'm proposing that we skip over item 4.24 for the moment and come back to it after we deal with 4.27. So we'll just change the order of the fire department proposals. And so with that, we're going to go to item 4.25, starting on page 225, which is round 1 budget proposal for 212 Roberts Creek Fire Protection. And so I will look to Chief Michael as the acting Senior Manager of Protective Services to see if you want to introduce these proposals for us today.
Thank you, Chair. I'll do my best to introduce these proposals as a block. What you'll see here is a proposal for continuation of our paid on call as one of our proposals, and some options for the board to consider for funding of our fire department associations. You'll see for Roberts Creek specifically here as well, a proposal for some supply hose, which is required due to the age of the existing fire hose, and after some testing has decommissioned a large quantity of our apparatus water supply hose.
Great, thank you very much. Directors, with that, we're going to start on budget proposal 1 at the bottom of page 225. That's SCRD Fire Department's paid on call continuation. And so this is 196,000 and change funded through taxation. The fire departments are all voting all directors except for Gibson's and District because they're single participant services. But I will refer to the area director first for the fire department. Director Bax.
Thank you, Chair. This one is fairly straightforward. I really am very glad that we've brought forward our paid on call. It needs a little bit of tweaking, but it's really, we're heading in the right direction here with the increased demand on training for our firefighters and with the increased number of calls. And I know that some of the directors and some of the staff don't understand the full extent of the work that our firefighters do. I'm not going to go into any detail about it. I'm just going to move that budget proposal number 1 be approved and incorporated into the 2026 round 2 budget.
Thank you, and I've got seconders for that. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. So budget proposal 2 on page 227 does show a number of options within the budget proposal itself. There's 1A, 1B, 2, and 3. Again, I will look to the area director first.
Thank you, Chair. I am going to put forward that that we maintain the funding for the Fire Department Association include that in the base budget. So I would move that budget proposal number 2, the Volunteer Firefighter Association funding.
Option 1A,
be approved and incorporated into the 2026 budget.
Okay.
I have a question on that though. Never mind. That's my proposal.
Thank you, Director Bax. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, I've got seconders. Director Bax, did you said you had a question?
No, it's fine. I answered my own question.
Okay. Directors, any further discussion? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Budget proposal number 3 on page 228, Roberts Creek Fire Protection Supply Hose, $30,000 funded from operating reserves. Director Bax?
Certainly. I was lucky enough to be near the fire hall on a day when I saw the firefighters out on the tarmac with their testing equipment and testing our hoses and making sure that all the equipment that they do use is up to the standard that's needed on the fire scene. And so I would like to take budget proposal number 3 and approve it and incorporate it into the 2026 round 2 budget.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Director McMahon. Any discussion on the motion? I think this makes a lot of sense. It's, oop. Thank you,
answer
Director
that.
Lee. Chief Higgins?
Thank you, Chair. Supply hose is a larger diameter hose, supplies water from various sources, dynamic source hydrant, static source pond, creek, etc. Supplies water to a firefighting apparatus like a truck with a pump. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, what was that question?
I guess the question was, is it more of a structural component than a conventional fire hose, right?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We have a tack hose, which goes from a fire apparatus to the fire to deliver water. We have supply hose, which is specifically to deliver water from a water supply to the truck and or the pump. They're manufactured to withstand a specified pressure. They will collapse. You can't suck water through them, but is that clarifying that?
Yeah, I think that's good enough. It's just a curiosity thing. It's not really relating to the budget proposal as presented,
Indeed.
so.
Thank you, Chair.
Director McMahon?
Yeah, just one question. I may have asked this before. I don't remember the answer. Firefighters need hoses. Like, why is this a special budget request? Should this not be built into their routine operational budget?
Part of the base capital budgets. Chief Michael?
Thank you. We do recognize the absurdity of this request. However, it doesn't quite meet that threshold to be included in our capital plan. And this fire hose in particular is just due to the age and condition, so it's extended its life for, we've gotten really good use of what we've had, but at this point, we've had to have a special budget proposal to renew our capital equipment there.
Okay, thank you. To the motion, Director Bax?
I just want to give some information.
You can do it at the break. Thank you. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. All right, thank you, Chief Higgins.
Thank you, Chair.
Next up, we're going to move on to round 1 budget proposal for 216 Half Moon Bay Fire Protection. Director Stamford, I do see you online. Thank you for joining us. I will try and watch for your hand, but if it's clear that I'm not seeing you, please feel free to just unmute and jump in. And I did mention it in a message to her, but we will be revisiting it. We'll be coming back to 4.24 after 4.27. Just because you hadn't connected yet, we didn't want to proceed without you. All right, so we are looking at Half Moon Bay Fire Protection, Function 216. Welcome, Chief Raymond. And we're looking at budget proposal number 1 on the bottom of page 230, 216, SCRD Fire Department's paid on call continuation, 216,000 and change funded from taxation. Director Gabius.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We're going to full year of paid on call. So I'll move that budget proposal number 1 be approved and incorporated into the 2026 round 2 budget.
Thank you, and I've got a seconder for that. Is there any discussion on the motion? This is voting all directors because it's a single participant service. All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Director Stamford, when you're voting, please go ahead and just use your physical hand, because when I see the virtual hand, I think you've got a question. All right, so we're going to move on to budget proposal number 2 on page 232, which is SCRD Volunteer Firefighter Association funding, $7,700 funded from taxation. There's options on this one as well.
Yeah.
Director Gabius.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to opt for option 1B on this one, simply because this year we're going to do the full year of paid on call. And I want the opportunity for the new board, actually, the opportunity to revisit that next year. So I think that's just a prudent thing to do. And so I would like to move option 1B of budget proposal number 2 be approved and incorporated into the 2026 round 2 budget.
Thank you very much, and I've got a seconder for that. Is there any discussion on the motion? Director Bax?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I did not go with this option with the fire department within my area is that my constituents really want to show the support of the fire department in any which way that they can. And the continuation of this, which basically it amounts to the annual dinner to celebrate the firefighters. It's a small price to pay for a morale booster, and so I'm going to vote against this particular proposal, and just because that's the way I feel.
Thank you, Director Bax. I don't see any other hands up. I will call the question. All those in favor? And those opposed? Director Bax opposed. Motion's carried. Thank you. And with that, thank you, Chief Raymond. With that, we're going to move on to budget proposal, round 1 budget proposal 218, Egmonton District Fire Protection. This is on page 234. So budget proposal number 1, which is SCRD Fire Department's paid on call continuation, $42,343 funded from taxation. And I will look to Director Lee.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve and incorporate budget proposal number 1 into the 2026 R2 budget.
Thank you very much. And I've got a seconder for that. Is there any discussion on the motion? I will call the question then. Single participant service, voting all directors. All those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. And then budget proposal number 2 on page 236. This is SCRD Volunteer Firefighter Association funding, $2,045, funded from taxation. And again, there's options within the budget proposal on 236. Director Lee.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve and incorporate 1A into 2026 R2 budget.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder for that? Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming all the way down. Okay, so now we're going to go to 4.24, which is Gibsons and District Fire Protection. So we'll go to page 220. And we've got budget proposal number 1 on page 221, which is SCRD Fire Department's paid on call continuation, $373,217 funded from taxation. This is electoral areas E, F, and Town of Gibsons. So I will look to any of those 3 directors to start discussion. Director McMahon?
Yes, I'd like to vote to recommend to approve and incorporate into the 2026 budget.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? EF and Town of Gibsons. Thank you, Director Stamford. Now, discussion on the motion? Director White?
I'll just briefly say my position hasn't changed since last year. There wasn't, the process for this wasn't really up to what we'd hoped for at the town, including with the fire commission portion of it. And we need to do some work on that piece of just kind of clarifying the role of the fire commission. And we're going to be looking at that on the town side of things and clarifying roles and the role in setting a budget there or setting a financial plan there that's then recommended to the regional district. Yeah, I've said other things about it before last year, so I'll be voting no.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? If not, I will call the question. EF, Town of Gibson's. All those in favor? That's 2 in favor. Those opposed? Director White opposed. That motion is carried. We're going to move on to budget proposal number 2 on page 222. This is SCRD Volunteer Firefighter Association funding. It's $19,155 funded from taxation. I will look to EF and Town of Gibson's as the service participants. Director McMahon.
Thank you for anticipating my hand. In view of the situation, I'm going to opt for option 1B to maintain funding and revisit in 2027.
Thank you. And do I have a second for that motion? Thank you, Director Stamford. I see you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Director White?
Sure. In this case, I really support this. Also don't feel it should have been removed from the budget in the first place. That's still confusing to me. And how it was classified as remuneration. But yeah, I would have much preferred that it just stayed in the budget like it had in years past, because this is a really this is a really valuable fund for our firefighters in recognition. So I'll be voting against it, but again, just because of process, I support this. I think the money should be coming from somewhere else.
Okay. Thank you very much, Director White. I don't see any other hands. I will call the question. EF, Town of Gibson's. All those in favor? And that's 2 in favor. Those opposed? Director White opposed. The motion's carried. Okay. Thank you very much. That concludes fire protection. No, hang on. Sorry, there is a recommendation 2 on page 220, and that a budget proposal for Gibson's and District Fire Protection Service Area Boundary Expansion Feasibility Project be referred to 2026 Round 2 budget for consideration. I have a mover for that. Do I have a second? I've got a seconder for that. Any discussion on the motion, EF and Town of Gibson's? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. I think Director Stamford froze there, so regardless, I had 2 people in the room vote in favor, so that motion's carried. All right. Now that's the end of fire protection? All right. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, and so now we are going to move on to item 4.28 on page 238, which is round 1 budget proposal for 110 general government. And CAO, did you want to introduce this at all?
Sorry, I don't know if it's picking me up over here, but essentially the particular budget proposals ahead of you here are really to support the board in orientation coming up and to sustain some training and development going forward. So happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Bax.
So this is money that's going to be set aside for after the election occurs next year? Is that what it's for?
Yeah, it's in anticipation to start planning for the new board. And so that work needs to start as soon as possible into 2026, especially because certain types of consultants get booked up pretty quickly. So we want to make sure that we have things in place ahead of time.
All right. So we're looking at budget proposal number 1 at the bottom of 238, Sunshine Coast Regional District Board Strategic Plan. This is $40,000 being funded from operating reserves. Directors, any questions, motions? Director Bax?
I'd like to move budget proposal number 1, that it be approved and incorporated into the 2026 round 2 budget.
Thank you, and I've got a seconder for that. Motion's on the floor. Is there any discussion? I know some folks will probably see $40,000 and get sticker shock, but I think it's important that we make sure we budget enough to be able to do the work regardless of what the incoming board would see as the manner in which it needs to be done. And the nice thing about it being funded from reserves is that there's no direct implication to taxation. And if the strategic plan costs $15,000, then the other 25 just stays in reserves. So with that, this is all directors. I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Director White opposed? Motion's carried. Budget proposal number 2, at the bottom of page 239. Board orientation and training, base budget lift. Sorry, Director White. Oh, okay. Board orientation and training, base budget lift, $20,000 funded from taxation. There's a bit of a description here in the budget proposal. Director Bax, did I see your hand?
Thank you. I hope that this includes a copy of Robert's Rules of Order for everybody, but I'd like to move that budget proposal number 2 be approved and incorporated into the 2026 round 2 budget.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for this? Thank you. I've got seconders. Director McMahon.
Yeah, I'll just point out that if the new board should not need this, it can be returned, like, to decrease taxation in the future year. Is that correct, CFO? Thank you.
And there's a head nod coming from the CAO. So Director Gabius and Director Inkster.
Yes, thanks, Chair. And just for clarity, the current budget is 5,000? Is that correct? 2,500 each?
I think there's a small amount in the budget right now, about $5,000. And so that's outside of sort of the board constituency and what you typically have. And so the board has expressed to have more ongoing types of training. And so right now the budget does not allow for that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And I just trying to understand the rationale behind that particular number, the 20,000. Like, what would that? I'm trying to figure out whether 20,000 is too much, or if we'd be able to just go for 10,000 instead, just because that's coming from taxation and trying to keep taxation as low as possible.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have had past sessions with consultants, so local government consultants that do this type of work, and a day of training, preparatory presenting for the full day follow-up reports can be upwards to $10,000 just for a day's training. And so this is envisioned that if we did a workshop for a day and maybe did some half-day sessions, that essentially this is what we'd be looking at. Alternatively, too, this could potentially be just funded from reserves next year and to be reassessed in the upcoming. The reason why it's taxation is because we want to make this a base budget item, but alternatively, we could just put it in for 2026 and reassess in 2027.
Thank you. Director Inkster and then Director White, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm just trying to get the notes together on this particular discussion. And earlier we had a vote. It was quick in my mind. I don't want to predict and/or hamstrung the next board in terms of development, but and maybe we can talk about it. We can have more information around too, as we've done with other things. I did vote for it, but I do have trouble with these large amounts for these items. I understand what's being said is that it comes back to us, perhaps, but the problem is that we then may find other ways to spend what's come back to us, and we've already taxed the public for that amount. So I think we need to be very careful. I would, and I'm trying to find it, Chair, I would like us to look at maybe to make us look closely at the board budget itself and what it exists as to cover some of these costs. We've found this year when we've done some extra development that we've had the money there. So, and I honestly, municipally, I'd prefer we did this too, not have so much contingency because we always tax for it. So that's where I am. And if we could somehow move that, because we've already made the decision, or as chair, you can make a decision to, if possible, to talk about that some more, or just move it to round 2 and we can talk about it some more. I'm finding some of those developmental costs are a lot of money. I think we should be putting as much tax money as we can at all levels of government into boots on the ground and infrastructure, rehabilitation and creation. So this is just a concern I have generally. Thanks.
Thank you. So regarding the last item, it was being funded from operating reserves, not taxation. So if we spend nothing on doing a strategic plan, that money just stays in the reserves. We're not taxing for it. So I'm not sure what would need to be revisited there. Regarding this item, I did hear the CAO say that it could be funded for 2026 out of reserves with an idea to bring it back for budget 2027 to look at ongoing funding for the new board to make that decision. But I will look to my directors for hands to see if anybody else. Director Lee, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Director White, you were first, and then Director Lee.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to ask a question on number 1, so that's why I voted against it, because my question was still out there. These are, I mean, it's kind of easy to go, sure, reserves, but then you come up to one that's taxation after that. And when I look at these two, my preference would be that both of these would kind of be baked into reserves as costs that the board needs to take on every 4 years. And that seems like that would be the best practice. And if there's 40,000 in reserves, I would just split it and say 20 and 20, but too late for that now. But yeah, I tend to share Director Inkster's concerns. And I'll try not to speak too much on, I can't really speak on the last one's done. So, it's unfortunate that we don't kind of have it already baked into reserves, that we do need to take on extra training costs and sufficiently every 4 years.
Thank you. So the budget proposal in the description at the top of 240 mentions that it's a $20,000 lift for every year with an additional $10,000 lift in the election years. So this would be a permanent funding resource available to the next board in the amount of $20,000 per year. I saw, and nothing, just to clarify, nothing is done until we've adopted the financial plan bylaw. We can change anything up until that point. That's okay. CAO, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, just to offer, Chair, we're happy to bring this back for round 2 to bring some alternative funding options and propose some alternatives. I do also want to bring to the attention of the board the chart on the bottom of the document on page 240. We have been applying rate stabilization, so essentially using reserves to reduce taxation. We did that for 3 consecutive years, so 2026 will be the last year. So we are planning on bringing at round 2 some alternative options because there has been a significant accumulation due to significant staff vacancies in general government, and so that's how we've been able to fund some of these items in years where we haven't had budget proposals. vehicles. And so we can bring this back, package it back, this particular item, and including the rate stabilization review for round 2.
Thank you. And that's what I've heard from a couple directors is I think they would prefer to see it at round 2 with a couple different, or with another option. Now, Director Lee, Director Stamford, did you raise your hand? Somebody pointed at the screen, so I don't know if that was you raising your hand and I just missed it. So Director Lee, Director McMahon.
My question was just answered. I'm okay now.
Okay, thank you, Director Lee. Director McMahon and then Director Inkster.
Sure, I'd be happy with bringing this back to discuss. I will point out that the cost of conferences like UBCM has dramatically gone up. And separate, somewhat apart from this conversation, I think we should look at ways to get the maximum value out of the conference, but try and reduce our expenses. Because it's a racket. The hotel industry is a racket. You can quote me.
And I'm sure somebody will. Director Inkster.
Thanks, Chair. I'm hearing that this may come back. And I'm glad. It's interesting, the rate stabilization comes from unfilled positions, which will be filled unless we deem them to be not needed, which is rare. You know, once again, though, that's taxation, and a lot of the reserves are originally taxation, as we know. And you've heard me say this at the other table, the only time I'm comfortable with reserves being utilized or being moved across to pay for things we don't have to tax for, if in fact the reserves came from a large reserve balance that created interest. And that's why I ask that at the Seashell table all the time. Where's the interest on that? Because that's what we should use for extra things. It's differently measured now, but that's why I always ask the CAO, CFO about what kind of interest we're getting on things so that we can apply those, even though it's all apparently put into one big pool towards these things. It allows me to sleep better to know that I'm not taxing for our needs. I know what Director McMahon says about the expense of going to these conferences, which in a lot of ways we do learn things. I mean, as an example, Seashell going more recently, and other areas, even Gibson's probably, finding out when you go to these conferences that other areas are dealing with the same kinds of homelessness, et cetera, issues that we're dealing with. So to exchange information is really key. But other than that, I think that the board, and I would love to talk about how we can do this, but the board to be more lean, because we're asking for so much from our electorate in terms of taxation every year. So I would love to figure out a way to make us really lean, but be able to go to things if we need to. So thanks.
Thank you, Director Inkster. I don't see any other hands up. I'm going to call the question on the motion that's currently on the floor, which is to approve and incorporate. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is defeated. Would somebody like to make another motion? Director Gabias?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would move that we send this to round 2 and include some different funding options.
Yeah.
And just in response to some of the comments earlier, I see this as like a great investment. Like we need to have strong orientation for the board. The stronger the board, the stronger the organization. So I think it is important that there's a really good orientation for new board members. But it's just, yeah, like how to reduce taxation at the same time. It'd be great to have some options. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I've got a seconder for that. Any discussion on this motion? I think this is where we're all sort of headed in consensus, so I will call the question. All those in favor? And any opposed? That motion, Director White opposed? Confirmation? Director White? Opposed? Okay. Okay, so that was unanimous. Thank you. And that's it for that item. All right. Round one budget proposal. This is item 4.29. Round one budget proposal for 114 Field Road Admin Building. And CAO, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, thank you. So the administration building is coming up on over 20 years. And so one of the items included in the budget here is to replace the carpet. This has been identified through our joint health and safety as a safety issue throughout the building. There are some areas that are significantly worn. We've had quotes by contractors just to try to do it incrementally. And the challenge is because of supply materials and the likelihood to do that, it's recommended that that would actually be more expensive. And so we're proposing to still do this phase, but over a same period of time. And this project has been deferred for a couple of years internally. And so it's felt that this year we do want to plan for it for 2026, and it might go into 2027 as well.
Thank you very much. So we're looking at budget proposal number one, which is Field Road Admin Building Carpet Replacement on page 241. Director McMahon.
Yeah, I see reference there to carpet tiles. Does that mean that it will be modular so that areas that wear more heavily can be replaced?
That's correct. Yeah. It's interesting because with my experience in construction, this single piece carpet business is done. Like, that is not the way it's done anymore because of exactly that. If something wears, you can replace a few tiles. You don't have to redo the entire room. So any other discussion or questions or motions from directors? Director Gabius?
Sure. Yeah, I'm in favor of this. I think we need to take care of what we have. And if this is a health and safety hazard, we definitely need to take care of that as well. And so I'll be moving to approve and incorporate budget proposal number one into the 2026 round two budget.
Thank you, and I've got a seconder for that. Any discussion, directors? This is $190,000 being funded through an MFA. I assume this is sort of through the equipment loan, like the short-term borrowing program?
Yeah, it's through a different mechanism, but essentially over a 5-year term. And I just also wanted to note that a capital plan for this facility is in draft. And so there are some reserves there, but we do expect that some large ticket items are going to be needed, such as HVAC replacements and whatnot. So that's why we're suggesting a 5-year liability under agreement to replace this.
Thank you very much. And this is voting all directors. I will call the question since I don't see any other hands. All those in favor? And those opposed? Directors Bax and White opposed. The motion's carried. And with that, we're going to move on to page 244, which is 4.30, round one budget proposal for 117 information technology. Welcome, Manager Nelson. Did you want to provide a brief overview of the projects being proposed?
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Finance Committee. Yes, this report presents two budget proposals for Function 117. The first is a recommendation for a base budget lift required to support rising year-over-year software fees, controls needed for evolving cybersecurity threats, and IT help and service support modernizations. The second one is a recommendation for a capital refreshment of end-of-life network switches and uninterrupted power supply units. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. And so we're looking at budget proposal number one on page 244. It's $25,000 being funded from support services, which is software support base budget lift. And directors, any questions or motions? Director McMahon?
Sure. Yes, our lives are all about IT these days. Yes, I'd like to move the recommendations be approved and incorporated in the budget.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? I've got a seconder for that. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? I will call the question then. This is voting all directors. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. All right, and then budget proposal number 2, network switches and UPS replacements, one-time capital lift, $80,000 funded from capital reserves. And directors, any questions? Discussion? Director Gabius?
I probably have so many questions about this, but I'm not even going to go in there. I'll move to approve and incorporate budget proposal number 2, network switches, into the round 2 budget 2026.
Thank you, and I've got a seconder for that. Any discussion on the motion? I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Thank you very much, Manager Nelson. Okay, that takes us to 5.1, which is the co-chairs of the Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities Climate Leadership Communications. Did you want to speak to this?
I would be happy to speak to this. I do have the privilege of co-chairing this steering committee. And this is our funding request for the next couple of years, understanding that there are financial constraints in all local governments. We've decided to only ask for half the amount that we'd projected for. And so the purpose of the steering committee is to convene local elected officials from the Vic region, sorry. And that allows us to share knowledge, and that allows us to also strengthen capacity and support each other and get to know what's happening elsewhere. So we have also, in the last couple years, we've hosted a climate summit. Some of you were there. That was online. It was over 2 mornings, and it was very, very well received by the local electeds and by staff. So it was a climate summit that included elected officials and staff from different local governments in the Vic region. And there was a survey that was sent out after, and there was some really positive feedback on that, and I'd be happy to send that to you. And we've also hosted a session at AVIC on the topic of collaboration, regional collaboration. And we have quarterly meetings, which is there's one on Friday, where we'll get an update on the Vancouver Island Coastal Communities Committee on Solid Waste and Circular Economy. And we do roundtable check-ins with local electeds as to what's going on. And the topic this week will be preparing for storm season. So there's a budget request, and I would move that we send this to round 2 and with some requesting some funding options, like where that money could come from. So it's $2,800, I believe.
Thank you. CAO? Well, I'll first look for a second. Thank you, Director McMahon. CAO?
Sorry, I jumped in there too soon, Chair.
You don't get to vote on this, unfortunately.
No,
so,
I appreciate that. So just a little bit of background. The regional district did fund a portion in 2023 from the LG CAP funds for this particular item. So that would be what we'd be putting forward as the source of funding again, to be consistent with the past. And I think that's what they're actually recommending here.
But that can come to us at round 2. Director McMahon?
Yeah, I'm supportive of this, although I think that probably next term, AVICC needs to revisit the committee to see if it's making sense and doing all the things it wants to do. It's a challenge. Like I can hardly say negative things about AVICC since I'm on the executive. And it's a good organization and a lot of valuable networking. But when it comes to things like solid waste and climate change initiatives, we continually find ourselves challenged because the communities on Vancouver Island, being, geographically proximate, have a lot more opportunities to share infrastructure and services and strategies and things than we do. And I keep being in conversations where people keep saying, and all of us on the island can do, such and such. So while wishing to get the maximum benefit out of these kind of collaborative efforts, it can be a little frustrating for those of us on this side of the pond. But I think we should continue, finish off the term, and then perhaps reassess.
Thank you. Director White?
Yeah, just building on Director McMahon's points, hence why the town of Gibson's has been working more with our neighboring local governments in Howe Sound and attending the Howe Sound Forum regularly and going over to LMLGA, which is often in the Howe Sound area. So that's kind of where we're at. We don't feel the connection so much to Vancouver Island and appreciate this work is going on, but it's not. We're allocating our resources elsewhere, especially when it comes to environmental initiatives, because Howe Sound's a really important one to us.
Thank you. Director Gabius?
Yes, I just wanted to note that this is not, this committee is not under AVICC. It does include the same people, so the Vic region, but it's not associated with AVICC. And we do have people from Islands Trust, so we have representatives from Bowen Island, and this is something, like, I hear what Director McMahon is saying, and as co-chair, I can definitely bring that forward, that, we need the Sunshine Coast or the coastal communities to be better represented. So happy to do that. And just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion, Director Bax?
Yeah, thank you. I'm really grateful for the work that's being done by our vice chair. Thank you for all the work that you do. I'm really very impressed with what you've done in the last 3 years here. One of the things that I just touching on this is one of the things that I would have liked to see in our term is a closer relationship with the Cathet Regional District, and that has not happened. And so when I look at something like this, it's great to see the connections that are happening with the greater area, but I really want to lean into trying to create a connection with the Cathet Regional District in the future, if we can. And it's something that if it doesn't happen in the next year, which I don't think it will, I will be trying to facilitate that as much as I can in the next term, should I be sitting at this table. I know it's not exactly what we're
Sure
talking
how
about.
it relates to the motion that's currently on the floor, but thank you, Director Bax.
Intergovernmental communication is what I'm talking about.
Any other comments from directors? This is just a motion to have staff bring something forward at round 2. I will call the question. This is all directors. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Okay, thank you. So that takes care of that. And then before we move to new business, we're going to go back to item 4.4, which is on page 109 of the PDF. And this is the budget proposal for wastewater treatment plants. And so I understand that a request has come forward to refer this to round 2 for some clarification of the numbers. So Director Bax?
I'd like to second that motion.
I don't get to vote on this, so you
Oh,
have to
okay,
make the
so I will
motion.
make a motion to refer this to round 2 in the hopes that we can get some more information on the apportionment of this particular item.
Thank you very much, and I've got a seconder for that. This is actually single participant services, so it's all directors, but I wasn't gonna move it for somebody else, so I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion's carried. Okay, so that concludes the open part of the agenda as prepared. We'll go to new business, which is Director Gabius, I believe you had a motion that you wanted to bring forward sort of subsequent to the discussions during budget over the last 2 days. So I'll turn to you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And just as a little preamble, I think it's important to always look for efficiencies. I think that's what the board expects staff to do. That's what the community expects the organization to do. And I think we we can see it. We're in it. We get to talk to staff. We're in the building, and we have a bit more information than the public does. And so I think it's important to communicate that there's work being done on an ongoing basis, trying to make the organization more performing, more efficient. And so to that end, I would move that the CAO include the following in their round 2 budget presentation. So organizational efficiencies achieved in the current fiscal year and future opportunities for additional efficiencies.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Director McMahon. Any discussion on the motion? I will call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Thank you. So that concludes the open portion of our agenda. So I would look for a motion that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with section 91 E, G, and K of the community charter. Moved, seconded, all those in favor? That's carried. Before we go in camera, are there any questions from online? Okay, then we're going to take just a quick break to reset the room. Director Stamford?
I am not in a secure area, so I'm going to look for a secure area.
Okay.
But if I can find
Thank you, Director Stamford. You're cutting in and out, so hopefully this secure area has better Wi-Fi.
So Connie is online and she has a question.
Okay, Connie, go ahead. You gave her permission to speak? Connie, you should have permission to unmute yourself. And if there's technical challenges, you're welcome to touch base with us outside of the meeting, and hopefully we can answer your questions.
Chair Toth, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning, committee. Just looking through you to the CAO for the at round 1 estimate of the total 2026 operating budget.
I don't think we've got that number for you right now, but we will touch base with you once we've got something to share.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Connie. All right, and so that's everything? Okay, we're gonna just take a few minutes to reset the room and refill our coffees.
5, 4.
Welcome back to the round one budget meeting for December the 2nd. It's 10:31. We've concluded the in-camera session, so I would look for a motion to adjourn, please. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much.